Alright, so what are the points that we discussed? Anyone can recap? Yeah, we did the 3 doers. What else?
Atma, Paramatma and Prakriti.
Who are the 3 doers?
Atma, Paramatma and Paramatma.
Jivatma, Paramatma and Prakriti.
जोर से. Jivatma, Paramatma and Prakriti. 3 modes of matter and nature. These are 3 doers. So what?
Soul desires Paramatma's sanctions and material nature facilitates.
Okay. So what?
Krishna bewildered that he is the doer.
So we should not get bewildered that he is the doer, but he is the doer, no? Also.
Krishna is not the doer.
Krishna is not the doer. What is the conclusion?
Whatever happens because...
What is the type 1 and type 2 error that we can do?
The entity must control its nature to move Krishna to separate.
Yes.
And
Whatever happens is because of our own desire.
Correct. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay. So whatever happens in our life, the responsibility is ours. Okay. We cannot say, I am not the doer and somebody else did. No. So we are just having the reactions of whatever desires that we had. So this is our...
So what did you say about type 1 and type 2?
and when, suppose we get success in our endeavors, then what do? We still think I am the doer? In that case, what do we do? What should we do?
Krishna is the doer.
Huh? Krishna is the doer.
Oh, very good. Confusing.
Not fair. No?
It's not fair.
Not fair.
What is this?
Whatever good happens to me, I am the doer.
No.
Whatever bad happens, Krishna is the doer.
I am the doer.
That is fair.
Either both I am both Krishna.
So, the whole import of whatever we discussed in the last class was that Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya Sita Ushna Sukha Dukataha. So, we are going to face happiness as well as distress in the material world. Agamo Payino Anityas Tam Titikshashva Bharata. In both the situations, what is common? There has to be titiksha. Titiksha means what? Tolerance. How the tolerance will come? By this knowledge. That if something is going on bad in the life of a devotee, then a devotee, in his humility, he always feels that I am just getting a token reaction from the Lord for my karma. I am getting a token reaction. And then whatever good things that come, we take it as a causeless mercy of the Lord. We don't say I am a self-made man. We take it as the mercy of the Lord. Especially when the chips are down. That is why that verse is there. What is the verse? Tattenu kampam sushimikshamano punjan eva atma kritam vipakam ridvag vapurbir vidadan namaste jivera yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. Which means what? Which means a devotee who is tolerating bad situations in his life, unfavorable circumstances, a devotee, when a devotee is tolerating these circumstances, all the time thinking that I deserved much, much worse, my dear Lord, but you have given me just a token reaction, and then continuously paying obeisance to the Lord, even during such circumstances, and increasing one's devotional life. For such a person, liberation becomes his rightful claim. Liberation becomes your rightful claim then, if you do that. Like that. Or if we do that, like that. So, that is the import of the verse. So we have to understand this. Whatever good happens, we take it as the mercy of the Lord, that He is facilitating us so that we can do our bhakti nicely. But whatever otherwise goes wrong, then we understand. This is a devotee's mood. There is a mood. And then there is a tattva also. There is tattva and then there is our mood. Our mood must be like this. Okay. We will never really know what is coming because of our karma and what is given by Krishna. Will we know? Can we say with guarantee anyone in this room? See, there is sometimes what happens. Sometimes I am crossing the road and I am speaking on the mobile phone. Okay, and then I am tripping on something and falling down on my face, and my hand is having fracture. Okay, so Krishna is interfering in my life to teach me something. So then, so we are. So it is very easy to say that Krishna is giving me some test to take me closer to Him. We may do over philosophy. What is the right word? Over philosophization. I don't know whether such a word is there in the English dictionary, but I'll just use it anyway. Right? We may theorize based on that or extrapolate too much, saying that Krishna, you have given me this pain, like that. You are testing me. So but the reason may be very simple, that I was on the cell phone. Okay. So as much as we must not think that we are too pure, so that the Lord is personally giving us token reactions every time, because there is some amount of false ego also there, thinking that Lord is giving me token reaction. That means I am so surrendered that whatever, I never had any bad karma in my life. Now the Lord is just giving token reaction. Worst is if we start thinking that so that others can learn. That is too much, no? Thinking like that. The Lord is giving me token reaction so that through me then others can learn. That Prabhupada can say. So there is little bit of false ego also which may come, in that thinking also. So it's better to keep it simple. If anything goes wrong, take the accountability on yourself. Yeah, I should walk on the road properly now. Or if doctor says diabetes is there, then it doesn't mean Krishna is doing it. Just means that I can't control my ice cream eating. It is as simple as that. Not that Krishna is testing me now to see how I am doing sadhana despite all these things. You can't say like that. Old age is going to come anyway. Disease is going to come because we are in the material world. But if something good outcome happens, for example, if the job is stable, if everything is nice, then we are actually grateful to the Lord. Lord, thank you very much that actually I deserve much, but you are giving me a life. And in that mode, we try to maximize our devotional service when the hands and legs are working, when the job is good. At that time, we do our maximum stuff. That is our way of reciprocating with the Lord. Because maybe later on, we never know what will come, what will happen. We don't know, no? If His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj can get a stroke, then why can't we? Of course, his stroke may be ordained by the Lord to teach us. But for example, if someone like me is getting, then it may not be necessarily ordained by the Lord. Right? So, but then I have to understand that situations are common for everyone. The Lord is, anything can happen to me also. At any point in time. So 3 doers are there. The Lord, the Jiva and the Prakriti. So all of us, we are victims of our desire in this material world. That is again the gist of last time. We are all victims of our own desire. Just now, Yamuna Jivan Prabhu and myself, we were having a conversation in that room, and we were discussing, at the end of the day, what do we want? We want one kurta, we want one dhoti, correct? In the morning when we get up, we want toothbrush to brush our teeth, we want drinking water, we want nice breakfast prasadam, one lunch prasadam, some roti and dal, and then some dinner prasadam. All other things are incidental around that, revolving around that. Everything else, if you see, most of the things are nothing concerned with it. Actually, we want only this. With this, we can do our bhajan and go back to God. So we have to keep on reminding ourselves constantly, why am I complicating my life? What are the things that I am right now doing and why am I doing that? Material life. So whatever other things, that tangles that we get into, and then the reactions are coming, that is because of our own desires to have more than that dal roti, what we need in devotional life. Correct? For example, I am having a lot of anxiety now because I invested in one property in India, and the builder is now saying that, Asitarade Prabhu and myself, both of us have invested. Builder is now saying that 4 years more for construction. He was supposed to give and now we are finding that he didn't have approval and he is constructed. So now we have already put some, and then both of us are in anxiety since last 3-4 weeks. Complete anxiety is there around this. What to do, right? We don't know which way this fellow, what will. But then I can't say the Lord, oh Lord, you are testing me. There is no test. Of course, the whole idea was that we bought that property because there was a news that Chowpatty temple is going to come next to that property, next to that land. And now Chowpatty temple has decided that they are going to build it 12 kilometers away from that. So now we are all stuck with that property. Of course, we started off with that, but now it has ended up like this. Okay, so builder is now another 4 more years we have to wait. So the money is locked up there. So this is giving anxiety. Now we can't blame the Lord for all these things. Because actually the genesis of the thought was that I should, wherever the temple is, if I am living close, then I will not have much trouble commuting. But then, commuting, if it is troublesome, the Lord recognizes that trouble we take. If, for example, one of my godbrothers, he goes all the way to Chowpatty temple at 4:30 in the morning in the local train. I told about that last time. So he is still going, he is far away, he is still going to the temple. Of course, it doesn't mean, please do not misunderstand, it doesn't mean that we should buy investment properties far away from the temple or go and stay far away from the temple in big houses and say that, the Lord recognizes that I am coming all the way from, let's hypothetically say Point Cook or so that Dairy Mart. We cannot justify like that. Okay. Because the temple was built before we invested the property. Correct, no? So we knew where the temple was. If you are invested and then the temple is constructed somewhere else, then it is not your fault. So there are 3 doers. Anything else? Yeah.
What if a person does wrong, like let's say the other person is wrong, the person does wrong to me, and then should I let it go or should I, because if I let it go then the person will keep on doing wrong and then I will keep on suffering, and if I do something then the ego is also coming in between. What's the best way to understand this scenario?
Okay, the question is, who is that person? Is it someone in office? Is he a devotee? Then everything is different. Treatment is different for different people.
Let's say non-devotee.
Non-devotee?
Yes.
Okay. A non-devotee is constantly offending us, and I am thinking now, should I tell him, Prabhuji, bahut ho gaya abhi. Should I tell him? And if I tell him, then I am doing Vaishnava aparadh. But if I don't tell him, then he is not even realizing that he is creating trouble for me. Is that your question?
Let's say even if you have told and the person is not understanding. The thing is, are we increasing our ego by...
Now, that devotee, is he your peer or your senior or your junior? Oh, this is non-devotee, yeah? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No, I also
Sorry, I completely lost you. Sorry, very sorry. I was thinking devotee. Okay. If he's a non-devotee, then you tell him, no, don't do it. Okay, I'll talk from the scriptures. Narad Muni said, a devotee doesn't bite, but he can hiss. A snake need not bite, but we can take the form of a snake and at least hiss. At least he'll go away like that. You can do that. If you believe that he is unnecessarily not troubling you, you can tell him off. You can tell him in a way that, in a strong way, initially in a polite way. If it doesn't work, then you can tell him in a strong way.
But if you go one step right, like you've told him and still you don't get any response, do you actually go and fight or do you just let it
Okay,
go?
there is no general answer to this. It has to be very specific. Now, if he is coming, for example, if he is throwing stones and your glass is broken once, you told him, don't throw stones, my glass is breaking. And the next time, again he is throwing stones. And if you are not, then you go to the police. So then you have to, it depends on the situation. I don't know the situation. Maybe we can take this offline. Because I really don't know the depth of the situation. But if it's something which is not physical or anything and it is just, an interplay of words or whatever, then obviously it's better to cut off that association. No? Why to have such association of such a person? By which you are not spiritually benefiting and that person doesn't seem to be spiritually benefiting also. Because at the end of the day he is throwing stones at a devotee. So there is no point in that relationship. Today only in Milpark program we were discussing Asat Sangha Tyag, a Vaishnava-Acharya. One of the 6 qualities which will enhance our devotion and one of the 6 things which will reduce our devotion is what? Sangat Tyagat Satovrutte. Avoid association of non-devotee. We have nothing to do with them at the end of the day. So just tell them to, for example, in office, also, we try to tolerate as much as possible. If if some person in office is trying to, be very smart, then personally, I would call that person to a room and tell him off. I'll tell him, boss, maja nahi aa raha hai abhi. Okay, so you do this, then I'll take this step, and then you may not like it. So let's work together like that. So I'll have a very frank word with him. Then we don't have to see. Keeping on tolerating something, and whereby the other person has got no chance of reformation, and then we are getting victimized every now and then. That is not a symptom of humility. That is not really humility. Humility means being straightforward with the person and telling him that, look, whatever you are doing is impacting me in this way. Therefore, you refrain from doing. And if you continue doing this, then I may have to take the following steps, and I don't want to do it because then that will cause trouble to you. Then our relationship will not go anywhere. So in the interest, then this is our responsibilities. And then take it from, there. But there is no harm in doing a hard talk with such a person. Devotee doesn't mean, being goody with the outside world, and if somebody is coming with a knife, then you have a right to protect yourself. You can't say, okay, come, here it is. Can you put the knife here? No, it's not like that. People normally say, in India, they call Gandhigiri. If you hit on one cheek, then you say that, you should give the other cheek also, hit here. But that is not scriptural. That is foolishness. If he is sitting on one cheek, you don't give the other cheek, right? That is okay if spiritual master is, chastising. Then you can take anything. And we must take also. But not with these kind of people. Yeah. Best is to stay away from non-devotees, so that we don't enter such situations at all. Or the other way also, like in office. This I can tell you from my own personal experience. In office, I have taken a decision as much as possible to be detached. Because I know some people get on my nerves. You tell them something, and then they just don't do that. And they'll go and do quite the opposite. So initially I used to get agitated very much. Once or twice I fought. I realized that this is not working. So then what I realized was, okay, I'll work in such a way that I have all my cases ready. I have all my data points ready in emails that this has to be done. Give them the ownership for an outcome. Keep your bosses informed that this is the person. I have given this, whatever, let's say there's a project manager. I have given this project manager, I have given the direction that this is the way the project must be handled, and this PM has taken his or her own decisions and doing something different contrary to what I have said. I have also highlighted the flip sides of taking that approach towards managing that project. Now, beyond that, I am keeping you informed to my bosses, saying that I am seeing that this is going in this direction. I am seeing a risk to this particular project. Keep your documents clear. So if it fails, then you are safe. Rather than haggling with that person who is not able to understand what you are saying, then at least you keep your slate clean. So if it bombs, then at least you are not held responsible. And why should you be? You have taken a professional approach at the end of the day of putting a risk. So if it is that kind of a situation, I don't know, then this is one more approach. So it again depends on so many contexts is there. You had a question?
Can we inquire in a calm and quiet manner to that person what is the root cause for that in a friendly manner?
That is also a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. So with one of the office persons, then what happened was this person was creating some politics. Okay, this person was going to my superior and projecting, something all the time, something different. And I think I've discussed this in the class. So it helped when I came back from vacation, from my yatra this year. During that period, this person had done some damage. Okay. Then what happened after yatra I came, I straight away told this person, let's go for coffee. Okay. Took the person and then asked them, I understand that this is what is your blah 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 problem or whatever. And then the person started talking like that. And then after that, what happened? Simply because I sat with that person and then I let that person pour out whatever problems to me, then the whole situation was diffused. Now the person comes directly to me rather than going to my superior. Earlier also I had that option, but I had not taken the initiative of going for that coffee meeting with that person. Of course, we don't take coffee. When I say coffee, don't think that I'm going there and having coffee. When we go there, then we can drink something, which is bona fide. juice or some peppermint herbal infusion, like that. Okay. That is our coffee meetings. In fact, we have got some clients also hooked on to herbal stuff now. So yes, you can solve like that. You can instead of office, just get out of the building and then go outside and discuss openly and then come back. These things are not taught in management books. These things will come by experience. There is a book called as What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. You have read that book?
Yes.
You have read that book? Yeah. There are two books, What They Teach You and then What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. So some of these things, one can learn by experience. How to get along, But we have to be detached under all circumstances. If we take it personally, especially I have seen, if anyone takes office works and office comments personally, that person is always miserable in life. In office, it is like, people come with sword, like that. So we can't take things personally at all. We have to like Radhanath Swami Maharaj sometimes, you have to be on the surface, when it comes to office. In Bhakti, we have to go deep. But otherwise, we have to be really, we should not be touched. It's like a leaf on a drop of water on a leaf. Just totter around like that, dispassionately, but do your work properly, but don't get too attached to anything. Just smoothly. Try not to have any frictions with anyone. Jayamuni Prabhu is there. He has got that amazing ability. Yeah, he is part of our team. So Jayamuni Prabhu, I have never seen him having friction. Jayamuni, I don't remember you having friction with anyone. He will always smile like this. Okay, I'll do. Very smooth operator like that, and he gets the job done. So this is a good quality. Okay. Even our Mahesh Prabhu, he is also part of my team. So I am speaking on of my colleagues only. Very smooth operator. Nicely he will. But wherever Mahesh Prabhu has to be, if he is given a consultant role, he will behave in a particular way. If he is given a management role, he will scale up and be assertive, like that. But not taking anything personally, and otherwise we will be miserable. Yeah.
Being a devotee doesn't mean always need to be a brahmana.
Being a devotee doesn't mean always to be a brahmana. Is that a question or a comment?
I think it's a comment. I think a devotee is entitled to execute other duties also, like Kshatriya and Vaisya and Shudra, sometimes based on the situation. So in this case, I think Prabhu's case, like, being another person is a non-devotee, he can be a Kshatriya, not necessarily. So
Non-devotee is nothing.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Non-devotee need not be a Kshatriya. Is he fighting for the country or?
No, it is to protect himself. It's not protecting the country.
Oh, he is saying he should become a Kshatriya.
Yeah.
The situation arises to the point that he doesn't have to be a brahmana, like he's tolerating his nonsensical things.
Protect yourself. You can think of yourself Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Protect yourself.
Does that increase the ego?
Actually, that is the point.
Does that increase the ego? Let's say
Whose ego?
My ego. If I'm protecting myself and trying to fight, is that also, the question comes, are we trying to be humble or not? I know you said like humility doesn't mean to be...
Humility is not Gandhigiri.
Humility should be strength, not weakness.
Correct. Humility should be perceived as our strength, not our weakness. Humility means what? At the end of the day, you are honest with people. You are honest and upfront. See, you can always go to someone else and say, that person is doing like this person is doing like this. Okay. But rather than that, you are directly telling the person, look, you are doing this and I am not liking it. It will not, and we have to work together. And then if we do this, then I will not be able to effectively, in fact, sometimes inadvertently I use this word and people are saying, what did he say? I said, I will not be able to serve you properly if you deal with me like this. And then they say, oh, serve me. Oh, very good. Sometimes it happens. With one person I used that recently. I will not be able to serve you properly if with this. So I can be more effective in serving you. Like that. And then everyone accepts. मेरे को serve करता ना ये. Sometimes I just pop these words. This may be unconventional in office language, but चल जाता है. Sometimes it works like that. Yeah. So yes, as Damodar Prabhu mentioned, you can take the role of a Kshatriya if required at some point in time. But you don't have to philosophize. I mean, you can't say, oh, now I will be Kshatriya, next day I will be Brahmana. It's not like that. A devotee means actually you can just, devotee means what? Water on top of the lotus. Not attached. Nishkama karma. Neither attached to activity. Nishkama kya? No, don't be attached to the activity, neither be attached to the result. many fights happen in organization, not over the results actually. It is over the activity that fights happen. Right? Results come, everyone gets credit and everyone. Thankfully, company has got many bonuses. But fights happen more over activities. Why he is doing that role? I should be doing that role. Why I am giving this activity only to do? Why he is not doing that activity? This is where conflicts come like that. So as a devotee, then we are detached. We go there, at the end of the day, monthly salary is coming. Of course, we have to do whatever strategically it's required to protect our job. Because that is our dharma. Because that is what earns our livelihood. But we don't go unnecessarily and play politics with others. We don't play with others' lives. See, a devotee is not manipulative. A devotee is not manipulative. Doesn't mean that he can't defend himself if somebody is trying to manipulate. But we don't manipulate anyone. We don't try to make strategy by which somebody is ruined. Like that. We don't do that. Of course, it doesn't mean that devotees don't take strict action if they are in a leadership or a managerial role. Devotees have to take strict action. If somebody, for example, if you are the head of a team and then your team people are not coming, they are not working properly, right? They are taking, they are going somewhere else and the productivity is not good, then obviously you have to call those people and then tell them that look, this is a problem and you may not, we can't keep you if you continue this kind of a performance. Those things we will have to do. But again, dispassionately. Don't get personal with that person. Like that. Not to get personal. That is true even with devotees. Even with devotees, we don't get personal with every devotee. With some devotees, you remember, I don't know, I told it in lunchtime. You were there or no? Who was there? Okay. You are there. Yeah. So we were talking about, but I don't want to digress the class today. We have some other agenda, but there is something which Premnidhi Prabhu this time when I went to Bombay, he talked about restricted relationships. I don't know whether I have told this in this class. He asked us to follow restricted relationship. Restricted relationships means that we are not Krishna to be able to perfectly reciprocate with every single devotee, such that every devotee will say, "Arey Prabhuji, maja aa gaya aapke saath." It is not possible. Even in our circles, there will be 5 devotees who we like. There will be 2 whose face we cannot say, "Oh my God, why does he come to the temple?" And worst is that, "Oh, when I go back to Godhead, will I see him also there?" Because we are right now. Our mind is like that. Okay, so we have preferences, choice, like that. And similarly, the other devotees also thinking, "Oh my God, ye kahan se aa gaya?" Like that. Okay, it is possible because we are not Paramahamsas right now. So because we are not Paramahamsas, because we have our own biases, we have our own relationship problems with one another, then sometimes the relationship problems may not be at the parallels level. The relationship problem can come because of Aditya came and one hit he gave to not Brihad Banu. No. Then I will go for it. Vachi Papa. Ananta Priya. Aditya went. So Brihad Banu Prabhu is sitting with a swollen face. And I am saying, Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Why? Aditya hit Ananta Priya. Okay. Now Aditya hit Ananta Priya. Why you are not dealing with me properly? Why? Because of that. That means what? I am not dealing now on a Vaishnava platform. I am dealing on a emotional platform. Why? My son, my daughter, and you. This is not devotional. There is nothing devotional in this behavior. Correct? So therefore, not to get too much attached. Even within devotee circles, we don't get too much attached, and because the moment we get too much attached on the bodily platform, then immediately we are not in the mode of goodness. We are immediately going to the lower modes. So our dealings, definitely it will start reflecting with people then. Then slowly we will start having problems. And I have, since so many years we have seen this problem. Parents are having nice relationship, but because of, and that too, it may be something silly, Some child is fighting something down, some balloon pheka kisi ne kiske upar, and then there is a big problem over that. Right? And then the parents' relationship is gone. This is showing immaturity in devotional service. This is immature behavior. Rather than that, the whole idea should be that if we can do that way, that if, let's say Brihad Banu Prabhu and I, so I always talk in favor of Ananta Priya. I told Aditya, no Aditya, you should not trouble Ananta Priya. And you should say that Ananta Priya, no Prabhu, Aditya is right, Ananta Priya only I have to tell. Then it will work between us. But the moment I insulate me and my family, then I am not acting like that. So these are practical problems. Huh? This comes 100% आता है congregation में. लिख के लेते तो comes. Okay. So what was the point? Who digressed me in this? Damodar Prabhu. Kshatriya. Restricted relationship. So therefore, restricted relationship. So which means what? We can't perfectly reciprocate with everyone. We will have problems with some devotees, etc. So restricted relationship means that take a piece of paper. I am telling in very short. Okay. Take a piece of paper. Put 3 columns in that. One put senior devotees. Put peers. And then put juniors. Decide which senior devotees you want to serve. If I say, no Prabhu, I will serve all Guru Maharajas in ISKCON. Is that practically possible? Not possible. In fact, sometimes that desire leads to conflict. Two Matajis may not see each other's face because Mataji Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj के लिए खाना कौन बनाएगा अभी? माताजी आपने हमको बोला ही नहीं. हमको भी सर्व करने का है महाराज को. हमको बोला ही नहीं आपने. Like that. हमको बुरा लगा. Like that. Now the desire is to serve Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, or the desire is that I must be in front cooking for him and my name should also be there. Like that. Yes, the desire is there, but if the desire to serve Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj is creating a conflict with some devotee who is residing in Melbourne, then Krishna is going to be very pleased with your desire to serve Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj. By that, just think about it. Just little bit, one step back, you think about it and you'll get the answer. That means the desire is that I want whatever I want. I want to serve in this way. Why you didn't put me on the cooking roster? मेरे को बुरा लगा. So this is not to serve Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj. If you really want to serve Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, you can serve him in so many ways. I am just using his as an example. Don't take it literally. Because right now he is going to come and there is a lot of discussions. हमको मिलेगा या नहीं मिलेगा ये टाइम भी? Like that. Some people will come tauntingly somebody will ask. होता है? I know it happens. We hear all leelas amongst devotees. Okay? So now the desire is not to serve. It is going in some completely different direction. Yeah. बहुत politics है मंदिर में. Then you will go like that. And then it will go in a different direction. What is not there in the whole thing? Serving Bhakti Rasamrit Swami. That is not there in the equation. Everything else is being discussed now. Uske outside of that. Correct? So therefore, amongst devotees, with all devotees, we cannot reciprocate perfectly. Because some devotees trust us, some devotees will mistrust us. Some devotees will trust us most of the time, some devotees will trust us all the time, some devotees are skeptical about us, and some devotees definitely mistrust us. Right? Some devotee always may be thinking that you are political, whereas some devotee will think that you are very trustworthy. So these are all perceptions. Matra sparshas tu kaunteya. Everything is sense perception. Okay? Everything based on our mindset, our paradigms, our experience with that devotee. It can happen like that. And we act on our mindsets. Therefore, we are not perfect. So better is what? Then we restrict our relationships so that we don't do Vaishnava Aparad. So that is the whole background. Restricted relationship doesn't mean grouping. That Changu and Mangu are slowly, grouping and then standing together in courtyard. Only they are discussing. Moment somebody comes like that. Kya ho gaya? Not like that. And giving a feeling that, there is some coteries going on in the garden. Like that. No, not like that. Restricted relationships means that, this is what I understood from what he said, that you choose specific persons. For example, let's take example, Nityanand Priya Prabhu. Everyone knows. Who has he chosen to serve intensely? Yeah, see, it's clear. That's an example of a restricted relationship. Excellent example of a restricted relationship. Okay. If he says, no, I will also come and organize youth boat cruise with Jayapataka Maharaj. I will also, when Burijan Prabhu comes, I will be, organizing everything in retreat. Then it will not work. There will be some, because somebody, Hamara Maharaj hai bhai. Like that. Somebody may say like that. Correct, no? So, sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes it happens like that. No? Okay. So we get very emotional when Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj is my God, brother. Like that. So restricted relationships means you choose some devotee and you serve that devotee intensely, by which you will get the mood of that devotee. We can choose that devotee. It can be more than one also. For example, in our congregation, somebody may say, okay, I just love Bhakta Prabhu. So I am going to serve Bhakta Prabhu. Like that. I am going to make it my mission to serve Bhakta Prabhu and adopt his mood. Because his mood is excellent mood. Going out and spreading. So then by serving him constantly, then you will get siksha from him. How to talk when you're going to a forum where Muslims are there, Jews are there, how to present Krishna consciousness there, what to do, what not to do. Because while serving him intensely, one will pick up that skill also from him. So this is the advantage. You'll pick up the mood of that particular devotee. Like that. Because they are very stable grihasthas in the congregation. Bhakta Prabhu and Bhakti Mataji. Wonderful examples. Like that. So we can choose such a person and then we'll focusedly serve that person and absorb their mood. Like that. Then we can choose peers. Peers most problem. Most lafada happens in peers. Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhu. With peers most of the problem comes. So we have to then decide who are going to be my peers. If we don't have any peer-to-peer relationship, then we are finished. If we don't have relationship with any devotee, close relationships, that means there is some problem. We have to have at least one devotee in the congregation with whom we have very good relationship. Otherwise, there is some problem with us only, usually. Correct? So we can put on a piece of paper who is that peer who you trust completely. Who you can be your natural self. Not the fear that I will be judged. Not Vanda. No, not like that. So you can put that peer and have very good relationship with that peer. And then the next level is what? Juniors. Okay. Again, decide who are you going to give your association with and cultivate. Usually they are the people who accept your authority. We will never go outside to preach to people or solve people's problems who are not accepting our authority. That is very important. Otherwise, that person doesn't respect you anyway, and then you are going and like I told you that day, somebody called me up in office and saying, hello, मैं बोल रहा हूँ, and then he is saying that मेरे को problem है, can I discuss? I don't even know who he is. So first of all, I don't know who he is. He doesn't know who I am. I don't know whether he'll accept whatever I am saying. He may not be most probably he was not even chanting. He had just come to the temple. So you can't go and solving everyone's problem. We are not Robin Hood. Okay. In short, we are not Krishna. Krishna is the only real Robin Hood. He can solve everybody's problems. But as a Madhyamadikari, one has to. I am not saying that. I am not suggesting that I am Madhyamadikari. Please don't mistake me like that. I am still Kanishta. But it is mentioned in the Sastras. Then when you are preaching, then you are taking the role of a Madhyamadikari. And at that time, you have to discriminate. Who to give time to. Who to say, sorry, I am busy. I really can't give you time. Like that. We have to ration those times. Because we can't reciprocate perfectly with everyone. And if we can't reciprocate and serve all the three levels, serving the seniors, serving the peer group who are our restricted relationships, and giving our association to people, then we will be unhappy in devotional life. And when we are unhappy, our chanting will not be good. Nothing will be good in devotional life. We will always be morose or angry or frustrated. Correct? So we should not be unhappy. So restrict the points of unhappiness in devotional life. By that, Vaishnava aparadha will also come down. Because now you are not going close to someone who you are not comfortable with. And that person, so you have those touch points are relatively lesser like that. Does it make sense? Any questions in this? No? No questions? So all of you are going to have restricted relationships. You are going to go home and put 3 columns. Actually, I did that exercise. I did that exercise. Premnidhi Prabhu told me, right now you would put 3 columns and put the name. And then, and then it happened. 5 minutes he gave. And, 1 or 2 names I put, I put. Because they came from the heart. For example, peers. I put chak, I put. Because it is there, that relationship is there. I know it's there. It's from the heart. If I have any problem, I'll call this devotee first. So I know that heart relationship is there. So I had no qualms about that. But then I was thinking, when it came to some peers. So he asked me, what are you thinking? I said, I'm not sure. He said, if you're not sure, that means they are not in your close relationships. If you are able to put, whoever names you are able to put like this, that is your restricted relationship. That's an indication you will get from your heart. Like that. Again, Premnidhi Prabhu also told me one thing. when you are talking about seniors, I gave example of Nityananda Prabhu and Devamrit Maharaj, but actually he told me that you don't have to put Maharajas only there, because sometimes Maharajas will come only once in a year, no, like that. Of course, you can serve them remotely also. You can put them. Usually, the senior devotee is a person from the local. You can take someone from the local congregation. That's why I took Bhakta Prabhu's name, because you will have more opportunities to serve him directly and to interact with him personally, because we will need some personal association also with that devotee. So go behind him, keep serving him, and then absorb the mood like that. Srinathachala Prabhu, please put 3 columns to that. 17. When one's intelligence, mind, faith and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. Yashoda Priya Mataji, you want to read?
The Supreme Transcendental Truth is Lord Krishna. The whole Bhagavad Gita centers around the declaration that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the version of all Vedic literature. Paratattva means the Supreme Reality, who is understood by the knowers of the Supreme as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan. Bhagwan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the last word in the Absolute. There is nothing more than that. The Lord says, Mata Parataram Nanyat Kitinchit Asti Dhananjaya. Impersonal Brahman is also supported by Krishna. Brahmano hi Pratistha. Therefore, in all ways, Krishna is the Supreme Reality, one whose mind, intelligence, faith and refuge are always in Krishna, or in other words, one who is fully in Krishna consciousness is undoubtedly washed clean of all misgivings and is in perfect knowledge in everything concerning transcendence. A Krishna conscious person can thoroughly understand that there is duality, that is simultaneous identity and individuality in Krishna, and equipped with such transcendental knowledge, one can make steady progress on the path of liberation.
What are the points here?
Krishna is the supreme reality. Even Brahman is the last stage of realizing the supreme absolute. When there is nothing beyond that, beyond himself.
He kind of says that absolute clarity in person's mind is like a website, like a book, kind of absolute clarity, very fixed. That's when you're on your path to liberation.
He is perfect in knowledge and no misgivings. So he is fixed.
So in Bhagavad Gita 9.2, it says that this knowledge is Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idam Tamam. So the knowledge of Krishna consciousness is the king of all knowledge. The understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the king of all knowledge. That's why it's called Raja Vidya. So there is if you see in society, there is a logical progression. Initially, people start identifying with their own bodies. Most of us, before becoming devotees, our idea was we are the body. Our identity was completely based on the body. For example, I was very proud that I am from Bombay. So my first identity was Bombay ka hoon, like that. Even sometimes now also I have that tendency to be over affectionate with people who are from Bombay, like that. It's a bodily platform. Why you are looking at it? Initially, we always start with identifying with our place of birth, our body, like that. Then we start understanding that we are the spirit soul. In terms of worship, Supreme Personality of Godhead, again, initially, the worship may start with the worship of the Virat Root. The lowest form of worship is what? worshipping nature, seeing God in nature, like that. So, for example, some tribes may worship the hill as God, like that. It's still there, prevalent. Virat Roop. It's like the Virat Roop of the Lord. Worshipping that. Then from there one may migrate to worshipping demigods, Devi Devata, thinking that demigods are the supreme, all demigods are supreme personality of Godhead. Worship anyone, doesn't matter. Okay. Then further after that, one may understand that no, worshipping demigods is very binding. One has to get liberation. But real liberation means that you are understanding that you are only God. Some people have that conception also. That is one whole. There is a lot of knowledge and literature around that also. That you are God, I am God, everybody is God. So there is. So lot of this vidya is floating around here and there. And then Shunyavad, Mayavad, Shunyavad, all these things. Okay, you go. The highest is that you are realizing that you are merging into the God's existence. So many theories are there. This knowledge is there. Then we come to the knowledge of Achintya Veda, which we got from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That we are simultaneously one and different from the Lord, like that. And then having taken to this philosophy, then we start really understanding that there are three levels of understanding the absolute truth: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And someone will, somebody may still identify with Brahman. Of course, usually a Vaishnava will not identify with Brahman. Like Keshav Prabhu was explaining the other day, merging with Brahman is the lowest. Devotees never desire to merge in Brahman life. It's called Sayujya Mukti. People don't desire to merge in Brahman. So then devotee tries to understand Bhagavan. And then Prabhupada gave us even one level higher. What he said? The absolute truth is what? Higher than Bhagavan. Understand? So Prabhupada writes in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the conception of the absolute truth are not on the same level. Which means at the end of the day, the absolute truth is what? That Lord Krishna is a coward boy. Okay. Then after that, God. Absolute truth is that he wants to forget that he is God. He is God. He is also creating everything. He just expands as Vishnu and says, okay, chalo, do some creation. There's people who are envious, put them there. But don't disturb me. I just want to enjoy loving relationship, the 5 rasas with my devotees. That is absolute truth. Okay. So we go through a progression, and that's why this knowledge is called as the highest knowledge of Krishna, as the absolute truth is called as Raja Vidya, the king of all knowledge. So once a person understands this, one can make steady progress on the path of liberation. And that's why we are all progressing towards that path of liberation. The last line, if you see of the purport, a Krishna conscious person can thoroughly understand that there is duality, simultaneous identity and individuality in Krishna. Because we have gone through all these Mayavadi explanations, everything, to come to the highest understanding of the absolute truth. And equipped with such knowledge, one can make steady progress on the path of liberation. So therefore, the goal of bhakti is what? To cultivate rati within the heart. What is the goal of bhakti? Na utpadayad yadi ratim ramaye kevalam. We have to develop rati, love for the God. That ras between us and the Lord has to manifest. We have to get that sambandha. At the end of the day, we have to realize our constitutional position. So one has to move from Vaidhi sadhana bhakti to spontaneous love in one of the 5 mukhya rasas. That is the goal of bhakti actually. So we have to constantly introspect. Am I moving in that direction? Am I doing the basics of Krishna consciousness correctly? Like that. Doing the basics of Krishna consciousness is the most important. And that is the only thing which is important at the end of the day. We can do so many things superficially. But we are not doing the basics properly, then what is that? Bahu janma kadi yadi Shravana Kirtanam. It will not happen. Basics have to be done properly. What is the basic? What is the most basic thing in Krishna consciousness? Yeah. Attentive chanting, quality chanting. If that is not correct, nothing will be correct on top of that. Because you are already building, foundation hi barabar nahi hai. Your foundation is not correct and you are building Hilton Hotel on top of that. It will not work. For a few days it will stand. After that, boom, it will collapse. Correct, no? So therefore the foundation has to be good. That is what sustains us at the end of the day as devotees. All our relationship problem, all our false ego, everything is ultimately comes to the quality of chanting that we do. So if we don't focus on that, then whatever we do, we can do so many things. We can cook nice khichdi, we can do nice vegetable cutting, right? But if you don't focus on attentive chanting, we will not get Krishna Prem. We will not get. Because in the Milpak program also today we were mentioning that chanting is our personal time with the Lord. It's our personal time. We must be very greedy not to give that time to anything else. Very greedy. No phone call, nothing during that time when chanting. Of course, there is an emergency, that's a different thing. But emergencies don't come every day. Right? So not that, we are just giving away that time doing other activities. Right? It is very important. We also discussed in one of the previous classes that etan nirvidyamananam ichchatam akuto bhayam yoginam nripa nirnitam harer nama anukirtanam. We are not only in the business of kirtanam, we are in the business of anukirtanam. Means what? We do kirtan in the way in which acharyas have done. Sangat tyagat sato vritti, actually. Sato vritti. We are following whatever they have recommended, the way they did bhajan, we have to do. Otherwise, sometimes we will get caught up with our own ideas of how to do worship. Therefore, we are not concentrating on what is essential and we are doing something else which is not recommended. And therefore, we are not progressing then because of that. Right? But we think that I am doing so much, then why I am not progressing? Because we are not doing anukirtanam, in the footsteps. If it is said chant on beats, if you say, no, I will not chant on beats, I will chant on my fingers like this. Many people say, I am also chanting. I am chanting on my fingers like this. What is this? Acharya didn't chant like this. The only mantra which can be chanted like this is the Gayatri mantra, with the thread in hand. This is not for chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna Mahamantra should be chanted on beads only. So if we rationalize with the process, then we lose our right to say that the process is not working. The process always works. It is we who do not follow the process correctly. Like that. So, the understanding of the absolute truth and the conception of Bhagavan, both are very important. And Srila Prabhupada, I don't know whether in this or somewhere else, he quotes the verses Mattah Parattanam Nanyat. What is the verse? Mattah Parattanam Nanyat Sanchidasya Jananjaya Mai Sarvam Idam Protam Sutre Manigana Iva. Is this a key memory verse for you? Everyone is saying this. When I'm prepared for the exam, I think. So, as the pearls are strung on a thread, so I am sustaining all the universes. You can see the necklace, but you can't see the thread which holds the necklace together. So that thread is Krishna. Like that. So we have to understand that. Most of mankind doesn't understand. Somebody that day when we were, because by mercy of Charu Chaitanya Prabhu, I got that service, card reading service. Wow, Jagannath Ratyadara. I'm telling you, I told your father, I don't know how he manages that. 1 hour I went crazy, that service. But he going on and on, hours together he does that. In 1 hour I got exhausted completely. People come and say, I'm not sure God exists, and so many things people will say. Then you have to tell them, you are breathing oxygen, your tongue is making this sound. Which company has manufactured your tongue to say this? I said, look at the obvious. You are speaking right now, the sun is shining over your head, can you see the tree behind you? Who has created that? Has some company came and manufactured the tree and put it there? No. Where are you getting water from? Not from Yara Valley. You are getting water. Yara Valley is only bringing the water to your house. But who provided water? Right? So there is an engineering. There is a cosmic order. So people are not seeing that. Sutre Maniganaiva. People are not able to see the thread which is connecting everything. So a person who is able to see that thread, such a person can make steady progress on the path of liberation. And person who knows that thread is Krishna. Otherwise some people will think that, I know there is a thread, and that thread is me only. You only. That is Mayavad philosophy. We are all holding together. Correct? As Tarun Prabhu was mentioning, only if we understand this will we get Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, fixation. In devotional life, it's very important that we develop one-pointedness towards the Lord. Otherwise, we'll be coming for many years. Like, that example in Canada I said. After 30 years, that person is coming to the temple. I know all Hare Krishna. I am coming so many years, I know. And then after finally, when I was leaving Canada, he is saying, one doubt is there still. Is Krishna Supreme Personality of Godhead? 2 years back, he asked me that question. And that time only devotees told me, don't haggle with this man. He has been asking this question since 28 years. 2 more years and he asked me the same question. Krishna Supreme Personality of God. Everything is fine with me. So this is the problem. Vyavasayika Buddhi will not come. Because there is no proper chanting. Krishna Bhakti has to start with faith and get consolidated. Faith gets consolidated with the process. Start with faith, take the process consolidates faith. Then faith leads to further activity. Activity further consolidates faith. And then that faith leads to further activity. And that activity further consolidates faith. And then that faith leads to activity. Actually, it is like that. Okay. So only with the Vyavasayatmika Buddhi can we come to the platform of Nishtha. Consistency. Consistency will come only with one-pointedness. Otherwise the mind will go here, there. Correct? Mind will go everywhere. Consistency has to come. Okay. So and then when we understand the Lord and His pastimes in this way, see this whole section is again coming to the core topic of, is the Lord partial or impartial? So only when a devotee understands the Lord through the process of Krishna consciousness, rather only through the process of Krishna consciousness will the devotee really understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and understand the transcendental nature of His activities and pastimes in this world. Only when we understand that will we understand the actual impartial nature of the Lord and simultaneously His preference for His devotees. Only through that we will understand the Lord. So this section, the thread is that, is the Lord partial or impartial? Who is the real doer? Because sometimes when we see somebody is blind in this world, where someone is very handsome looking, somebody is ugly, not looking very, physically not very great in appearance, someone looks like a demigod, then we see why the God has created, this kind of, why He doesn't make everyone beautiful, why He doesn't make everyone wealthy. So then we will not understand. But only when we understand Lord Krishna as a person, we understand Bhagavan, we understand Prakriti, we understand Jiva Tattva, we understand Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana, then we will be able to get a comprehensive understanding of the impartiality of the Lord, at the same time His Bhaktavatsala feature towards His devotees, His special inclination towards His intimate devotees, like that. So I think this paragraph is essentially giving that. It's part of a larger theme where this paragraph is like. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. Key memory verse, this one. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. A person who neither rejoices upon receiving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. So these three verses talk about the vision of persons who have transcended material nature. All these three verses have that common theme. Vision of a person who has transcended material nature. So in one sense it talks about the equality of vision. So in this world, if you see, there are inequalities which we see. In an ordinary person always sees inequalities in this material world. We see inequalities centered around three things. Species, inequality centered around species, class, and caste. Inequality around species, class, and caste. Three things we see. Again, in our Milpark program, we were discussing today about some government policies. The president of a country may be may show a lot of compassion towards so many issues that are concerning human beings in society. Right? Somebody may cry saying that, okay, so many children were massacred in a school. Right? But the same head of society does not cry when so many animals are slaughtered in slaughterhouses. Right? Because animals do not vote. Right? If animals voted, then there will be no animal slaughter. At least one party, ruling party, will be in favor of animals. Opposition party may say like that. But both ruling party and opposition party both are engaged in animal slaughter. So this is called as a inequality centered around species. We see that in modern society. Then we see inequality around class. What is the class? I am lower class, you are lower middle class, upper middle class, super rich. There is inequalities. So in society we see that discrimination happens because of that, because of class. And specifically in countries like India, then we see discrimination based on caste. I am Kayastha, you are something else. I am Iyer, you are Iyengar. These kind of based on caste, like that. Upper class, lower caste, scheduled tribe, creamy layer, Brahmana. Actually there is no Brahmana. There is no creamy layer. Everyone is at the lowest layer. Kalau Shudra Sambhava. All of us, right? But then we see artificial distinctions which have formed divisions in society, because one group always feels that the other group has exploited them, and which is correct. Once upon a time the upper class was exploiting the lower caste. Now the lower caste may be exploiting the upper caste, thinks that the lower caste is exploiting them. Correct? So this is going to continue in Kali Yuga, because no one understands the tattva. Jiva tattva no one understands. What is spirit, soul, what is body, no one understands. So because of all this, there are inequalities in society. However, a person who has developed equal vision here, he sees the equality, because at the spiritual level everyone is equal. It's only at the material level all these distinctions are coming. So the such person, Tattvadarshi, Samadarshi if you like, who sees a dog, a human being, a Chandala, everyone is ultimately spirit soul. Because there is Paramatma inside all. He sees the Paramatma inside all. In fact, there is a saint in Maharashtra, I am not sure if it was Jnaneshwar or someone, who saw the Paramatma inside a buffalo. There is a story, I don't know whether it is bona fide or not, but I have heard this in childhood. He made the buffalo recite the Vedas like that, because he said, what buffalo? There is Paramatma inside buffalo, the spirit soul. And then actually, from inside the Vedas came like that. So such a highly realized person sees the Paramatma inside all. Suhridam Sarva Bhutani. Paramatma inside all, like that. And also knows, this person who is advanced, Samadarshi, he also knows that bodies are simply a product of manifestation of the three modes of material nature. Like that. Such a person, because such a person is seeing everything equal, then such a person is beyond rag and dvesh. He doesn't have any preferences towards someone and then hatred towards someone. There is no rag and dvesh. In fact, that should be the goal of our own bhakti, to transcend rag and dvesh. Only then we can really focus on Krishna consciousness. Most of the time we really can't focus on Krishna consciousness is because we have problems with devotees. That's why we can't focus. Our mind, even when chanting, it says, why that is like that, why that devotee did like that, why this devotee did like that, who hurt me, how I should give it back. All that thoughts are also coming even when we are chanting, because there is rag and dvesh. There is preference and non-preference. So like that. So we have to be free from, all of us have to aspire to be free from rag and dvesh, for which swimming deeply into the ocean of bhakti is required. As long as we swim on the surface of bhakti, it is not going to happen. We will get picked by the vultures. Just like, when Radhanath Swami was meditating, what happened? The vulture came and plucked the fish. And Maharaj wrote, if the fish was swimming deeper in the water, then the eagle could not have plucked it, because it was swimming on the surface. So if we are going deep into bhakti, then we will not be affected by the dichotomies in this material world. You had a question?
One question, which is the statement you made just is confusing, because we were discussing earlier that a person can behave as a Kshatriya. So is that a rag and dvesh?
Yes.
So that's not recommended, isn't it? Because you are just saying that.
That's why I said the higher principle is what? Avoid non-devotee association. But if you are doing that, if you have to do non-devotee, if you have to have non-devotee association, then you can apply the principles of Varnashrama Dharma. For a devotee, the principle of Varnashrama Dharma don't apply, no? What Mahaprabhu said? What is that verse? Kiba Nyasi, Kiba, Shudra. Ei Krishna Tattva. That verse, I forgot that verse. Say Guru Haya. So, is that the verse correct? I am saying it correct or no? Partly maybe, yeah. I forgot that verse. But at the end of the day, Mahaprabhu himself said what? I am neither Brahmana nor Kshatriya nor Shudra. It's a spirit soul at the end of the day. Huh? Gopi Bhartur Padakamalayur Das Dasanudas. We are just servant of Krishna. That's all. So we have nothing to do with the material world at the end of the day. It is just for survival that we are interacting with the material world. That's a practical reality. Otherwise, what do we have to do with anyone?
So if somebody is, sorry to drag this on, but just for understanding, if somebody is, let's say, hurting us, then what's the problem in being humble or because...
If you can be humble, that's very good actually. But I told what is humility also we discussed, no? The problem is, if we are humble, we should be happy that we are humble. We should not be humble and feel sad that we are humble. That means we are not humble. We have to be happy at the end of the day. Okay. If I suppose Aditya is, suppose Puran Poli, which is my favorite dish. Okay. Suppose one is kept, and yesterday only we had that pastime in the house. Okay. Suppose Aditya has grabbed from a plate and is eating. Either I can feel happy or I can say, okay, chalo khao. And then, why did you eat? Like that. I have to be happy with that, taking that position. Okay. Otherwise, then we have to act based on our realization. So at the end, I will give you an extreme example. Okay. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Rishabhadev, Supreme Personality of Godhead, what to speak of us? People were throwing stool on him. It is mentioned what kind of torture people were doing. People used to pelt stones at him, throw things at him, like that, abuse him, like that. But Lord Rishabhadev just kept on walking, like that. This is level of tolerance. But he was not unhappy because he was aloof. This is Bhagavan himself showing through one of his incarnations how to be aloof from the material world, untouched. He didn't care. Okay, somebody is shouting, because all this is illusory. If we are on that platform, that is the best actually. Everything is illusory. Somebody kicks us, Hare Krishna. Somebody tells, gives praises, Hare Krishna, like that. There was one Prabhupada's god brother, Akinchana Krishnadas Babaji, who you will read, about. If you read Radhanath Maharaj's journey home, it's mentioned. This Akinchana Krishnadas Babaji had only one word for everyone. What is that? Hare Krishna. Babaji, you are not doing Hare Krishna. Babaji, you are very good. Hare Krishna. Like that. So nothing was affecting him. Like that. On that platform where you have nothing to do, not getting into anybody's problem, not getting affected by somebody's behavior and comments about you, whether it is good, bad. But because we are not on that platform, then for us Rupa Goswami has given instructions in Upadeshamrita. Avoid non-devotization. And if you have to do, then handle it dispassionately. Don't get personal. Just say that, okay, this person's realization is only that much. For example, bhains ke samne kitna been bajaoge? You will not understand. That person will not understand anything. So better avoid. So, again I am saying, avoid. But don't be unhappy. Being unhappy is the biggest problem in devotional life. You should not be unhappy. This time, not only this time, last 2 years, 3 years, I have been asking Premnidhi Prabhu, who has been helping me so much in my devotional life, my entire family. I am deeply indebted to him. He does so much. In fact, as simple as this, he knew that I had to catch a local train and the class was delayed. He was the instructor in the class. And the class was delayed and he knew I had a dinner appointment in Bombay. He took the ownership on himself and arranged a vehicle for me to drop me till VT station. He doesn't have to do all these things. That was Maharaja's personal vehicle. He arranged for me through high contacts. He got it somehow. He said, no, you go. Because I have delayed the class. I know you have to go for dinner. He can always say, now it's your problem, you go. At the end of the day, I was serving you only. No. So this is very, very different level of service that I have seen, service attitude. Why did I say this point now? Then I asked him, last 2 occasions I asked him. He knew I wanted to buy harmonium. Okay. He was reminding me, okay, what to do, when to do, what harmonium you want. Okay, look, Prabhu, I will arrange this person. Then he arranged the best person from Radha Gopinath temple, expert in harmonium. and he told that he came personally to the shop. He is the busiest person, but he came personally to the shop with me. Harmonium, he is just overseeing that everything is happening correctly for me, like that. So many things. I can't even imagine the kind of things that he has done. I can't describe it. Okay, but I asked him one question. Prabhu, what service can I do for you? You know what he told me all the time? He said, I want you to be happy in Krishna consciousness. You must be happy. That is the best service you can do to your spiritual master. He says, what can we serve our spiritual master? Actually, what can we serve our spiritual master? Our spiritual master doesn't need our service. If he needed other people's service, why he took sannyas? Sannyasi means what? He's completely detached from the world, right? He doesn't need our service. All they want is, they want us to be happy in Krishna consciousness. We are coming in the way of our happiness and trying to spoil things. We spoil our own relationships, we are spoiling because we always act on our false ego. Correct? That is the problem. So we have to be happy. So if we do, again, for example, if I do Ekadashi, my wife sometimes tells me, Nirjal fasting I did few years back in Janmashtami. I was crazy at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I was shouting and yelling in the house. He told me, Shanti se baithna ek jagah mein. Problem kya hai? Khao. I will give you, I will make and give you. You eat and be happy. Sit in one corner. But don't keep lamenting all the time. You are doing Nirjal fasting. Because I have a headache and I am doing like this. And I am getting irritated with everything. Correct? So at the end of the day, we have to be happy that Lord Krishna is appearing, rather than doing that Nirjal fasting and being miserable that, oh, Lord Krishna, when will he appear? I want to eat. So this is the basic. You can imagine, no, somebody is appearing, and if you are unhappy that he is appearing and you are doing austerity, and that is why, what is that verse? Raghu guna etat tapasa nayati. You remember that verse? No? What is the verse? Raghuguna is instructing. Where Mataji, what is the verse? Raghuguna etat tapasa nayati na chandasa eva jana dakni surya. Something like that. Okay. The meaning of that verse I will tell you. Okay, without going into Sanskrit. Okay, I can't remember that verse also exactly. It is said that Maharaj Jad Bharat is advising Raghuguna, saying that you are not going to attain Bhagavan by doing big austerities. Ekadashi are not required. But if you are miserable at the end of the day, then that austerity is not going to. You have to do it happily for the Lord. Right? Whatever we do, we have to be happy. Happily do. Do out of love, do out of happiness. Like that. So, he is saying that Na chandasa eva jaladagni surya. He says that you will not attain Krishna by dipping in the cold water in the winter. Nor will you attain Krishna by the austerity of sitting in amidst fire in the heat of the summer. Many people in Kumbh Mela and all, if you go, no, these big people, tapasvis and yogi, they will come and they will put fire all around and they will show how they can do austerities. No? I can go without water for 20 days at a stretch. For 1 year I can live without water. But Krishna is not pleased with all that. He doesn't want our austerities. All he wants is our love. He is bhavagrahi. He wants love only. What is that?
He came on my hand.
But then Prabhuji,
Why it happens with you?
one can say that chanting 16 rounds is not with the happiness, then chanting 4 rounds is I can do with happiness. What's the
Good question. Yeah. So then one must chant 4 rounds. No. I was just joking. So see, the higher instruction is what? That chanting is not done for our pleasure and happiness. It's a higher instruction. For example, see, in Bhakti Vriksha also, what happens? Someone chanting 4 rounds, we still clap for them very loudly. And we say very nice. Why we say very nice? If I tell them, oh, you are only chanting 4 rounds, do you think they will go to 16 rounds? For example, in our program, which we, in relationship, which we did that course in Chopati, they said, when has a man or a woman, they asked me, when have you performed your best? When you are made to feel bad about yourself or when you are made to feel good about yourself? When did you perform your best in life always? So then, if somebody is chanting 4, you say, only 4 rounds you are chanting, Prabhu? If you say like that, what are you doing about that person? You are making that person feel bad about himself. Rather than that, then we compare, we say that you are such a great person that people are just not even interested in Krishna consciousness. 4 rounds of Mahamantra you are chanting daily. Actually, you see, it is glorious, isn't it? If you actually see, it is glorious, no? From the heart, it is glorious. It's not about, it's not a play with words. It is glorious. A person who is doing that much is glorious. So that person is glorious. But actually, if you see, because you really want that person to get delivered also, no, from material existence. Otherwise, what will happen if you only keep glorifying that person? Then the person will remain at 4. बोलते हैं प्रभु हर टाइम बोलते हैं क्लास में, I am the great devotee. Look at the material world. देखो कोई chant नहीं करता है. देख मैं कैसा chant करता हूँ. The person will unnecessarily get false ego with a suboptimal chanting. Correct? To encourage, we say that. But at the end of the day, what is the highest truth? Highest truth is that our chanting should be done for the pleasure of the Lord, not for our pleasure. In fact, it is said that chanting is an austerity only. Chanting will later on become a pleasure. Chanting is an austerity till it is done inattentively. But when it is done attentively, when ecstatic symptom starts coming, then it is pleasure. That is why devotee stage mein 3 stages are there. Sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti and prema bhakti. The manifestation of taste, ruchi asati. That's why they are the even at Nishtha stage also, ruchi has not come. रुचि कहाँ आया है अभी तक? अभी तक कंसिस्टेंसी आया है, बट कंसिस्टेंसी इन ऑस्टेरिटी. बट उसके बाद फिर टेस्ट आता है. Does it make sense? I don't know whether I answered you.
But then the austerity is still required. So
Yes.
So in any case, even if we are not happy, we still need to do the things, even if we don't like. If the thing is good. In the similar way, if something happens and we are trying to be humble and we are not happy, should we still be humble or should we say that I'm not
Should be happy. More important. Be happy.
Not be humble.
Be happy with the choices that you make in life. Be happy with the choices you make. Even when, in terms of dealing, be happy with the choices you make. Of course, make the right choices also in line with the scriptures, but be happy. For example, it's a simple thing. Suppose after we have taken a decision whether to go to India or whether to remain in Melbourne. This is a big decision for everyone, right? But at the end of the day, having taken a decision to be here, then there is no point in lamenting. अरे जाना चाहिए था अभी, क्या हो गया ये? There is no point in that. Be happy with the current circumstances and look at the positives. Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir is here, etc., etc. If we have to go to India, see the positives. Oh, at least job stability is there here. Be happy. Premnidhi Prabhu actually told me that we have to learn to be happy with the choices which we make in life. And why? Because unhappiness means that the heart is not having gratitude. Only a heart which is not having gratitude will always be unhappy. Unhappy means what? I deserve more, why I am not getting. Happy means what? I deserved worse, thank you my dear Lord. So it is a consciousness. What is going on inside the heart, like that. So, if an austerity is actually making you not think of Krishna. See, again, Rupa Goswami, what he has mentioned, Nectar of Devotion, what is the highest principle? Always think of Krishna, never forget Krishna. So, if an austerity means that I am not thinking of Krishna, then I am saying that such austerity better not done. Till we come to that platform. Gradually we can come. All of us start small only, no? All of us start small only. For me, giving up tea, coffee, it took so much of effort, right? All of us come slowly. We come like that. So encourage everyone. Let everyone set their own pace in bhakti. Our job is to encourage people to do more and more. Otherwise, how will they know that there is something higher? Correct? Or they may get false ego. Correct? So our job is not to fan their false ego, but show them something higher, acknowledge whatever they are doing and show them the path. Very good that you are doing this. There is something higher. Take your time, do it. And then people will do. Somebody dealt with us also like that. That's why we became devotees, isn't it? We also took that path gradually like that. Okay. So where were we? Yeah. So the text 20 talks about the symptoms of a self-realized soul. So we took 3 verses together about how a Samadarshi sees everything equally and not disturbed. Now the text 21 to 23 again have a similar theme. So let's read that. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. See the word here. Enjoying the pleasure within. So unless we start relishing bhakti inside our heart, we will never be happy. For that only we are saying, again and again, our Maharajas say, especially my spiritual master also says this, chant attentively, chant attentively, chant attentively. If we don't do that and we try to sort out all other problems, it will not get sorted out. It will not get sorted out. And then because our problems are not getting sorted out, we are miserable. Because we are not taking the medicine as prescribed by the physician. That is the root. So keep working on that. If we keep working on that, chanting attentively, hearing always from realized persons, always taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada's books, then we will not be unhappy. I am not an authority. Let me please, it's easy to sit in this chair and give big classes, but let me tell you, I am also struggling in this. But one thing I have seen in my personal life, whenever I have done this properly, I have always been happy. I cannot deny that. Whenever I have done this, I have been happy. And that happiness is beyond this world. And during those days when I am doing it seriously, I find that my relationships with people, my interactions are also very good. And when I become slack here, I again find something is going wrong somewhere. Like that. This cannot be overstated anymore. This point. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. I have got Krishna. What more do I need in life? He can completely satisfy our soul. Like that. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. His concentration is not on other things. His concentration is only on the Supreme. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery. Does this answer your question? There is a source of misery for you. Correct? See, an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. See, Krishna is answering directly. Good question, good answer. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. Again, this question is answering. See, let's read it very carefully. Let all of us read this. Okay. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire. Yes. Check the force of desire and anger. Check the force. Always keep that in check. Check the desires. Check that anger which is there. Please continue. He is well situated and he is happy in this world. So what is the problem with our happiness? Our own desires are our problem. What we want from the world. Do we want material things from the world? Do we want material reciprocation from everyone? That is a problem in this world. So, and Prabhupada writes very nice purports here, so you can read that offline. I'm sure all of you are read only and come to the class. Yeah? I trust you. But for those of you who have not read, or those of you who have read, maybe you can summarize. What is the gist of these three verses? Okay. So these verses, Prabhupada talks about Mithuni Bhav. Mithuni Bhav is what? In this world, the whole world is revolving around the opposite sex, pleasure with the opposite sex. Again, today in the Milpa program, we were discussing this point about Mithuni Bhav. Yoshit Sangad Yata Pumso Yata Tat Sangi Sangata. What does it mean? Krishna Prabhu, remember? What is the greatest attachment in this world? The attachment of a man to a woman. And what is even higher?
The person who is more attached.
Women.
Association.
Correct. Yoshit Sangad Yata Pumso Yata Tat Sangi Sangatah. The most dangerous attachment in this world is the attachment of a man to a woman. Right? Because the woman can literally control like that. Or otherwise the man can control the woman. That is where the exploitation comes. like that.
Sorry, more.
But worse than that is the attachment to a man who is attached to women. Worse than your attachment to a woman is your attachment to a man who is attached to women. I know this question will come, how that is explained. So I explained. Of course, I will not explain as animatedly as I did in the Mill Park program, but I am just giving an example that when we were young, when we went to, many times, we were actually little bit sober. At least in my life, I can tell you, I really was not. I was pretty sober when I entered college. But when I entered college, my friends, my peer group had such a great influence on me that I started imitating them. They made me feel that I am not normal. Because I don't drink, I am not normal. Because I don't smoke, you are not macho, man. This is the word they said actually, macho. I used to like that word, macho, man. Because that Michael Jackson in one of the songs he said, you want to be a macho man. He sings like that. So I was very impressed with Michael Jackson's words. So that was like Lord Brahma's instructions to those days. Okay. So to become a macho man, what do you say? And always my friends used to tell, one of the persons who had a great influence in me, he said, Jagu, you have to be macho man. You have to be macho. Come. I said, how to be macho man? Show me, Go to exercise. He told me dumbbells and all that. I never knew all that. Dumbbell, weights, all that I should do. Bulwarker I brought at home. I used to put egg in between sandwich and eat, then drink milk and then build my body, did all those things, And then I told also, I cutting the center parting like that. The hair should be, He taught me how to apply gel to my hair, He taught me why I should use perfumes, like that. He told me how to approach the opposite sex. I will train, kuch nahi aata hai tere ko. Main sikhata hu, aaja. And I did not want anything to do with girls, but he made me feel that I am not normal if I am not learning these techniques. In Hindi they say paitare. If you don't know this paitara number 1 and paitara number 2, if I don't know this, that means you are not normal. Because I come from Bombay. Bombay is wild. Okay. So he told me that, this is not normal. You have to be modern, man. You have to be like that. So I started admiring this person. And through this person, then I became a completely different person to what I was. It just took 3-4 years in engineering college to become a different person. Right? Till then somebody else caught me back and then, Hare Krishna, come. Aaja wapas abhi. Raju ban gaya, gentleman. Again pull back Raju. You are Raju, don't forget that. Don't imitate. Like that. So, this is the problem with Yoshit Sangad Yatha Pumso Yatha Tat Sangi Sangataha. Through the influence of such people and admiring such people, then they will connect us to our attachments like that. Attachment to a woman can go away, but person who fuels that attachment in our heart, saying that you must be like this, you must be like this. In fact, the person used to tell me, he used to tell me of his friend who is his guru, my Parama Guru at that time. He is saying that I have only 2 girlfriends, but this fellow has what? He's got this bike, his father has got from US, his father is into fast food. I still remember, see how much influence he has got. I remember that his father was in the frozen foods business. And he said that this guy comes on his bike and he drops one girl and then boom, he goes and another girl is dropping in another college and then boom, another girl, another college. And I said, wow, kya hai yaar tera dost? Parama Guru. Tera bhi ustad nikla yaar wo to. I used to think like that. And admire those people because he is generating that admiration for these fallen characters in my mind. And I am thinking that wow, life means aisa hona chahiye yaar. And then when you see Sanjay Dutt going in that Rocky movie like that, doston ko salam, dushmanon ko salam and all, he is going like that. And then I'm thinking, wow, ye to wahi hai, ye usne bola mere ko. Connection is perfect now. Rocky mera naam and all, and then girls are coming behind and sitting in the hero's car. All these things influence our life. Please understand, all these things influence. And someone who takes you and puts you into that influence, that person's association is more dangerous. It's more dangerous. Because he is the marketeer for that. If you are lying if a cigarette packet is lying, you are going and say, oh, cigarette hai, chalo, theek hai, you're going. But someone is saying, hey, cigarette hai, try one, it's very good, I'm telling you. And that person is more dangerous than that cigarette. Does it make sense? Yes. Now you will understand that. Yoshit Sangha Yatha Pumso Yatha Tat Sangi Sangata. So Mithuni Bhav. So more and more that we try and fulfill this Mithuni Bhav, it is like pouring fuel on the fire. It's not pouring water on the fire. Indulging in sense gratification can never be a solution to overcome sense gratification. It is like pouring fuel, not water. That is what Lord Krishna is saying here. So, to overcome, what do we need? We need two things. One is we need intellectual conviction to overcome these problems. And if you read Prabhupada's paragraphs, you will get this gist. You will need intellectual conviction to overcome this problem. Though he is calling me, I wish I were Krishna conscious. Now Aditya is very fortunate. If I were Krishna consciousness, then I would have told him, oh, whatever, whoever my friend was. I said, you are not your body and your guru is also not his body. We had no knowledge, right? So we have to have that knowledge. And we have to have that conviction. Conviction will come through sadhana. So intellectual conviction should be there, and we have to get a higher taste. Without developing higher taste, the lower taste will not go away. In fact, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhurijan Prabhu quotes in Surrender unto Me. He quotes that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that person who eats sweet meats has no inclination to eat mud, because you have developed a higher taste, like that. And it is also mentioned, how long should one tolerate all these urges for sense gratification? How long should we tolerate? Till death, yes. 3 people have done homework. 3 voices are there who said till death. Prabhupada mentions that. We should tolerate the pushings of the mind and senses till death, because till death Maya will not leave. The King Akbar story, that we discussed. That old man was there. His sex desire did not go even when he was on deathbed. He was grinning at that 16-year-old girl who came. So it will not go. These desires will not go simply by old age. It will not go. It will go only by getting a higher taste. Param drishtva nivartante. Like that. And the mood of these verses, so Srila Prabhupada and Bhurijan Prabhu, I'm using Srila Prabhupada, Bhurijan Prabhu because at this point in time I'm not able to differentiate who has written what, but I'm quoting from both these acharyas. So collectively, they are mentioning how else can we become spiritual missionaries. If we don't control our senses, if we don't learn, then how can we preach to others? We cannot become spiritual missionaries. The reason today Shankar Das Adhikari and Vishnu Priya Mataji are able to generate so much of inspiration amongst all of us and all over the world is because of the quality of life that they themselves lead, the quality of chanting that they do, the quality of sadhana that they are doing. That is what, when Maharaj talks, I feel really inspired every time he comes. Right? So this is because of this. Spiritual missionary. We have to. And for that, we have to become Vacho Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam. So we have to come to this platform of Samadarshi, equipoised by virtue of our sadhana. So diving deep now is required. We have to do that now. If we have to become spiritual missionary, when one day it cannot happen. Prabhuji, from 25th of March, I will become very attentive in my chanting. I will not do offenses against devotees, and I will become a spiritual missionary from 26th morning, start of business day. It will not work like that. We have to, it's not something for the future. That investment has to happen now. If we really want to become spiritual missionaries in our life, then we have to start investing and introspecting within ourselves, where we are right now. And it is a serious introspection. We have to keep our false ego aside for some time, and the anger which buds inside our heart. We have to keep it aside and think, what do I want actually? Do I want to be proven right, or do I want to go back to Godhead? What is more important to me? Going back to Godhead. So we have to develop the habit of becoming loving. Our whole problem is we don't have love in our heart. If you actually see, introspect, I don't know how many of you had that realization. Actually, we don't have true love inside our heart. Even to devotees. We don't have true love. And that is what is missing. Where my spiritual master always puts that all your problems is because you don't have love in your heart. If you have love in your heart, then you will always think of others. In fact, there was an interesting statement. Jamuni, what was that? I mentioned in the lunchtime meeting. Humility is not about thinking yourself less, but humility is not thinking less of yourself. Humility is not about thinking less of yourself. Humility is about thinking of yourself less. Humility is not about thinking less of yourself. Sorry. Yeah, correct. You're right. I'm sorry. I stand corrected. You're right. Humility is not about You tell, because you have told it correctly. Don't confuse me also. Yeah?
It's not about
Thinking yourself less, but it is about thinking
Less of yourself, yeah. Not thinking yourself less than the others, but thinking of yourself less.
Less of yourself.
Ah, okay, whatever. You remove this. It's too much.
We have to think about others.
Yeah, whatever. It means that not humility is different from inferiority complex. Okay, it's not thinking that I am low, but humility means actually thinking more of others than of yourself. And if we start doing that in all our interactions, Prabhuji, I understand your problem. If we deal with that with people all the time, rather than saying, look, Prabhuji, I have this problem. Chalo, baat karte hain. Not like that. Prabhuji, I want to just discuss what's your problem. Because you are also having a negative experience by that. Right? Call it from your side. Whenever we go for a discussion to a devotee, if we go with an genuine desire to improve the relationship with that devotee by acknowledging, by asking that devotee, do you feel any problem? Or sometimes if we also need some help, then go and seek that, Prabhuji, I really need this help also from you, because I really value this relationship. Rather than going to the devotee in a complaining tone saying that I have the following list of problems, let us discuss now. It will not work. That is not Vaishnava. Right? Is it clear or not? Yeah. And this instruction is for myself also. I have to drink this instruction first. I'm just sharing what I heard. I'm not perfect. I'm also struggling with this. Okay. How else can we become spiritual missionaries? Because a devotee means what? Spiritual missionary is one who has compassion and love for others. If we have envy for others, we cannot preach. We cannot cultivate anyone. Our own behavior will not be perfect, first of all. Our sadachar has to be good. Only then we can cultivate others. No? If we are always victims of our own ego and anger, then when are we going to come out of our thinking and look at others like that? Like that. So therefore, to come to this platform, to be able, see, before giving up this body, one has to be able to tolerate the urges of material senses and check the force of desire and anger. This is a very high platform. How are we going to come? For that, the process of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is recommended. There are two things, Bhagavad Dharma and Pancharatri ki Vidhi. So, deity worship, performing deity worship, early morning sadhana, cleanliness, all these basics which have been given in Krishna consciousness, these are critical. Otherwise, we cannot check the force of desire and anger. We have to get up, do our chanting in the morning, perform deity worship. All the tenets, whatever we know, there's nothing new I'm going to say. All the basics of Krishna consciousness have to be done. In fact, I have a poster. It's in our kitchen, where Radhana Swami Maharaj is sitting like this with a japa bead like that. And he said, whatever we have taken light-heartedly in Krishna consciousness is an absolute necessity. And suddenly I saw that every day I am seeing that and I am getting reminded. Whenever I go to open that sugar or whatever, or take that ice cream bowl, uska upar hi tune chipka ke rakha hai. That is the place which I visit more. Okay. You have not put the camera on? Or? It's on. Okay. So whatever, whatever that we have taken light-heartedly in Krishna consciousness is an absolute necessity, he says. So that was a very good instruction. So these are the instructions. What are the absolute necessities in Krishna consciousness? Chanting attentively, cleanliness, taking shelter of Prabhupada's books, hearing a lecture every day. We have to do this. There is no substitute. Otherwise, no progress. Only stagnation will be there. And Prabhupada mentions that unsatisfied material desires lead to anger. So association is very important. Like that. And Srila Prabhupada says that this is one of our duties. In fact, to control our senses, he is saying here, is our duty. To control our senses is our duty. Just imagine. Now, having controlled our senses, what is the reward that we get? That is given in verse 23 and 24. Again, I will read 23. What is the reward? He is well situated and is happy in this world. So, having controlled the senses, eventually he will lead to happiness, not misery. I find it very difficult to, with my limited realization, believe this. But then, the scriptures are saying this. So, we must put our effort. And text 24, what does it say? One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward is actually the perfect mystic. So bhakti is all inside the heart. The happiness which we derive out of bhakti is also inside the heart. And if we are very happy inside our heart, why will we envy anyone? Why will we have fights with anyone? So all our fights is only because we are not deriving the full happiness from bhakti. All fights, misunderstandings come only because of that. Then we try to seek that same happiness because we are not deriving it in bhakti, but the desire to be happy is still there. We try to seek it in by satisfying our false ego. That's where the problem is there. Therefore, it is important. By deriving transcendental pleasure from bhakti only, by getting that higher taste, then the tendency to derive that happiness from the non-bhakti activities will be reduced. So there is intellectual conviction backed by what? Practical realization. We discussed intellectual conviction and higher taste. Param Tattva Nivarana. Okay. Then final 2 verses. Where are we now? We did 24, did we read? 23. 23 we read, 24. One who is happy, no, we read 24 also. So in 24 again Prabhupada is talking about Brahma Bhuta platform. The 24 verse, if you read the purport, it is all about a person in the Brahma Bhuta platform, where the happiness is coming where from? Within. Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma. Na Sochati na Kankshati. Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. He is saying everything as same. There is no duality. Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. That state is very conducive for bhakti. So Srila Prabhupada always used to say, it is very difficult for one to come to Krishna consciousness. It is more difficult for a person to stay in Krishna consciousness, and it is most difficult for a person to be happy in Krishna consciousness. 3 levels. So our basic processes have to be strengthened, and then bhakti is awarded. Again, I am going back and again say, because I like the statement so much of Adana Swami. Bhakti is not achieved, it is awarded. It will be awarded to us one day. So all we need to do is chant attentively and avoid offenses. That is very important. So that's the gist. Then we will get that happiness. 25. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. So the qualities of a person who will achieve liberation is what? First we have to be happy inside our heart. And then we have to always work for the welfare of others and not commit sins. All these conditions are there. Then we will achieve liberation. Like that. So we cannot preach perfectly till we ourselves have doubts, false ego and envy. If we ourselves are doubtful, then what can we give conviction to others? So we must remove these doubts. And it is said that these doubts in the heart arise from sin. When we sin, then Krishna immediately removes a little bit of faith. And we also start getting doubt in the philosophy. So Srila Prabhupada in verse 24 uses a word. I think in 24 only it is there. He is liberated in the Supreme and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Srila Prabhupada uses the word ultimately. As if to caution us. This word ultimately is as if to caution us that if you don't do all these things, ultimately you will not achieve. It's almost coming in that tone, which Burijan Prabhu captures very nicely. As if to caution us that the result won't be quickly achieved, or such qualities are rarely found. So Burijan Prabhu writes that this word ultimately is giving that tone. These are all very difficult. And I saw somebody also fuming here when I think Tarun Prabhu, you were right? You were fuming. This is very high standard like that. And so you have got the mood rightly. Like that. So it seems as if it's a very Herculean task. So then, in the 26th, repeat what? Burijan Prabhu comments that the word ultimately which Prabhupada uses is as if to caution us that the result won't be achieved quickly. That's what Burijan Prabhu captures that mood. And next verse, therefore, because we will get that doubt, Lord Krishna is giving us some assurances in the next few verses. Let's see what assurances he gives. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. So he's using the word certainly. 26. Oh, sorry. Those who are very sorry. Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation. See, the word assured is given here. In the Supreme, in the very near future. So how nicely Acharyas are capturing the mood. No? Without them, we will never understand Bhagavad Gita. So Lord is giving this assurance. He's got it very nicely.
The main thing is endeavor. Like we have to sincerely endeavor.
We have to sincerely endeavor.
Keep on.
Correct. And then it is assured. His Lord is saying it's assured. In the very near future, he is saying that too. So now Tarun Prabhu is smiling.
In terms of eternity, what's the near future?
So there is a very nice verse. You can note down. Srimad Bhagavatam 4th Canto 22.39. It says, a Krishna conscious person is the best of all salvationists because he does effective control of senses in this process by focusing on the lotus feet of the Lord. Such an endeavor uproots all the deep grown desires of fruitive action. You don't have to note down what I am saying. Just remember Srimad Bhagavatam. You can go to Canto 4, read 22.39. It's given in the purport. Okay, very good. So there is a nice analogy which is given. The analogy of meditation of the tortoise, fish and bird. It is said that the tortoise brings up its offspring simply by meditation. And I didn't know this till I read this section. A tortoise brings up its offspring simply by meditation. Eggs are laid on the land and the tortoise is meditating on the eggs. And then the offspring comes like that. And the tortoise is in water, the offspring comes in the land. Fish brings up its offspring simply by looking at it. That is again good. And birds maintain their offspring by touching. Like that. Similarly, the devotees in Krishna consciousness, although far away from the Lord's abode, can elevate themselves to that abode simply by thinking of Him and being engaged in His service. This is an analogy, very beautiful analogy is given. In fact, I have read this section before, but I never read it like this. Sometimes it's better to become a teacher in it. Then you will read it scrutinizingly. When I did Bhakti Sastri, I never came across this example. I thought, am I reading for the first time or what this one? Somehow it missed. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes, for those who endeavor seriously, perfection is readily available because the super soul is concerned about who acts like that. So the super soul is very merciful. Super soul knows who is acting in line with the injunction. And then the mercy of the super soul is evoked thereby. So Lord Krishna has now finished the discussion on how to come to the Brahma Nirvana stage. All this is the stage of Brahma Nirvana. Brahma Bhuta platform. It's also called as Brahma Nirvana. Liberation by working in complete knowledge of the super soul. That is the whole section we saw. No? This whole section was about that. So now the Lord is taking us to the next section, which is called as liberation by meditation process. Thus far we are talking about liberation by by activities under knowledge of the Super Soul and Bhagavan. Now he will take us to the next section, which is the Ashtanga Yoga section. And therefore the two next verses are just setting the context of Ashtanga Yoga, which we will do in now chapter 6. So we just read the two verses. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breath within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from the desire, fear and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. So now we are talking about liberation through Dhyana Yoga. Thus far we were talking about liberation through Karma Yoga. Now it is migrating to Dhyana Yoga. Now the famous verse, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasham Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam Jnatva Mam Shantim Richati. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. This is a very important verse, one of the most important verses in Bhagavad Gita. A key memory verse and very often quoted verse. We will discuss more about it in the next class, but just a 1 minute summary for you. So, what does Burijan Prabhu and Srila Prabhupada, what do they jointly comment? So, Burijan Prabhu writes that Bhoktaram Yagya, the words Bhoktaram Yagya and Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, they stand for the Karma Kandis. Because the Karma Kandis, why are they doing Karma Kanda?
To get benefits.
To please somebody so that he or she can award material benedictions. So, Burijan Prabhu writes that Bhoktaram Yagya and Sarvaloka Maheshwaram are intended at these Karma Kandis to tell them that finally, boss, I am the one who gets pleased. Whatever you do, ultimately it all comes to me. I am the final enjoyer of all the sacrifices that you people are performing to please the Devi Devatas. So the word Bhoktaram Yagya and Sarvaloka Maheshwaram are for the Karma Kandis. Then Bhoktaram Tapasam also talks about Lord Krishna as the beneficiary of all austerities. The word Tapasam is also coming. Yagya Tapasam. Tapas. Austerities. So that is intended at the Jnanis. The Jnanis are always doing austerities towards some supreme person. So that is Krishna himself. And Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. This verse is directed to the yogis who meditate on the super soul. So the Lord is saying that super soul, I as a super soul am your ever well-wisher and friend who accompanies you from one body to another body. In one sense, that super soul aspect of the Lord is more merciful than the Lord. If you see, Lord is there in the spiritual world, but super soul comes everywhere. Even to the bathroom, the super soul is coming along with us. Right? Even if we enter a pub, the super soul is coming to the pub also, along with that. So how merciful is the super soul, if you see it like that. So that super soul is the Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, is the ever well-wisher of all the living entities. And therefore it is directed to the yogis, because who do the yogis meditate on? That super soul. They don't know that who they are meditating. Therefore, there is a verse in 10th canto, Dhyana Vastita Tat Gatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino. Like that. Whoever the great yogis meditate on, Brahma is telling, whoever the great yogis meditate on Lord, they don't know that that all that meditation ends on you, because you are the super soul in everyone's heart. So that's why the Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam word is mentioned here. And Burijan Prabhu also writes that there are 3 levels of friendship. And I think Prabhupada is also writing in the purport. I'm not sure whether Prabhupada writes that purport. Okay. So one is the one level is the official friendship. Official friends are called as Bandhu. Bandhu means official friendship. Mitra means social friendship. Official friendship and social friendship. But Suhrit means a real friend. A friend who always wishes your welfare. Our office friend may not necessarily wish our welfare. Our social friend may not. Sometimes he may wish our welfare as long as his welfare is also reciprocated. Right? But a Suhrit is a person who is always wanting only your welfare. That is why Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. The Lord always wants, it's a one-way love in one sense. He always wants the welfare. Even for the Jnanis and Yogis. Sarva Bhutanam. So this is the verse. So therefore, the Acharyas are pointing out that this is the platform of entire Dhyana Yoga, because we should not get too enamored with the Dhyana Yogis and try to pursue that process. So the Acharyas are setting the context that at the end of the day, a devotee should not forget that the goal of all that Dhyan is that Lord Krishna only, who you are anyway trying to serve through your Karma Yoga process. So whether you follow any yoga, the goal is still the same. Okay?
Thank you, Babaji.
So in the next class,
All your mercy.
the next class we will go from chapter to a new chapter, which is 6th chapter, verses 6.1 to 6.9. Srila Prabhupada ki